What's up, everybody? This is the Joseph Allen. Thanks for tuning in. I don't do that many videos on politics, partly because it's not my favorite subject, but mainly because I'm really not that well versed in it. I haven't read any political science books. I didn't study anything that has to do much with politics, so I'm not that well versed. But I wanted to give you guys, I think, what is at least a valid opinion on what's going on in Tunisia and in Egypt, because I feel that it's really going to amount to nothing. I mean, I've seen a little bit of coverage of the news, and I've heard on the radio and everything. And of course, these are going to be important historical events. They're going to, have their place in history. But I think the people that are rioting and that are protesting really don't care about some footnote in the history books. They want real change in their country. And sadly, it's not going to happen. And the reason it's not going to happen is because governments don't make countries, people do. And it doesn't matter if you simply one day, change the dictator of Tunisia, or if you remove the president / dictator of Egypt. It really doesn't matter. The core problem is not one of the persons in government or one of the political parties in government. It's the whole country. There's a saying that people get the government they deserve. I don't like. Traditionally, I don't like that saying. I don't think that anything could merit having a government like Kim Jong-il. I don't think anybody deserves something like the North Korean government. But sadly, there is some truth in it. It's a very literal saying, but there is some truth in it, at least in some cases. Countries like Egypt and Tunisia have something in common with Mexico, which is where I live. And that is that governments can come and go, but as long as the people don't really want to sacrifice and want to take the necessary steps to make their country better, it doesn't matter who's in government. The whole system is corrupt. The whole system doesn't work. It's somewhat analogous to the drug war. Just because you kill one drug kingpin, what is that going to bring down the whole system? Of course not. There's a movie where I think it's Traffic. I'm not sure. It doesn't matter. But one of the characters, he's having a discussion with I think it's somebody in law enforcement, and the guy in law enforcement says, "Well, but we brought down this really important, powerful drug kingpin who killed all these people and blah blah blah," and the other guy says, "I'm sure that whoever takes his place is very grateful." And that's precisely what we're going to have in governments like Tunisia and Egypt. Whoever succeeds these dictators is going to be very grateful to the people that they removed the guy that was impeding them from being in power. And there's nothing that's really going to fundamentally change unless the people change. Unless the whole ground-up culture is fundamentally changed. Now, I wanted to make this video because, as I said, I live in Mexico, and I think that we have a lot in common with some of these countries. We have something like 40% of the people here live under the poverty line. We have a terrible drug problem, mostly drug war problem, where people are being killed left and right, and there's lawlessness, and this has happened, for a long time. For about the past 20 years is when it really got bad. But really, this stems from a much deeper problem. It's a whole history of the country. And unless you change that basic framework, there isn't going to be any change. We had 80 years of one political party reigning, basically. And then in 2000, everybody was so happy because finally we had ousted that party that was in power, and now things were really going to change, and we're going to have a better Mexico. And, things are far from getting better. In fact, many would argue that they've gotten much worse because it just keeps progressing. This whole thing, it's a cultural thing. It's something that's ingrained. There's a saying in Mexico. I'm going to try to loosely translate it. It goes something like this. The Mexican would rather be pretty bad off, but have his neighbor be worse off than he is, than to be well off, but have his neighbor be better off than he is. And of course this sounds simplistic and these one-liners are nice, for shock effect. Of course it's a much more complex issue than that. But, this is a YouTube video and I'm trying to convey what I think is a problem. And the problem is the culture. It's this idea that, I'd rather be bad off, but have my neighbor be worse off than to be well and have him be better off than I am. And it's a fundamental way of thinking. And that's why we're still a third world country, and that's why Egypt is still a third world country, among other things, of course, as well as Tunisia. And unless something really changes, fucking truck. See what I'm talking about? And unless something really changes, unless the fundamental fabric of the society is actually motivated to change for the good, and what they need to change is the fundamental roots of their culture, the fundamental attitudes of the people, the fundamental institutions that society has. Changing governments, switching dictators, switching political parties will do shit. Now, am I saying it's absolutely 100% sure that nothing will change? No, I don't know. There's always a possibility. There could be some, really earth-shattering event that's going to change something. But I sincerely doubt it. So anyway, that's been my rant on the political situation, the current events going on in Tunisia and Egypt. And thanks to my new subscribers. Thanks everybody for watching, and I'll see you around.